Today, we'll be going over my Vanilla Plus combat setup. We'll be covering mods to change the gameplay mechanics, as well as all the animation replacers I use. We'll start with the basis of my setup with Blade and Blunt. What sets Blade and Blunt apart from all the other combat overhauls is that it does not import mechanics from other games, but instead it chooses to elevate the existing mechanics within Skyrim's combat. A key aspect of the mod is the revamped stamina mechanic. Actions that didn't previously require stamina, like drawing a bow or firing a crossbow, will now come at a small cost, and once your stamina is fully depleted, it will not only slow your movements and attacks by 25%, but will also reduce your weapon damage by the same percentage, as well as cutting your blocking effectiveness in half. These small tweaks make it so you actually have to manage your stamina, rather than just getting away with basically ignoring it like in vanilla. All these changes also extend to NPCs, ensuring a fair fight. Sneaking isn't left untouched by Blade and Blunt either. It now consumes 5 points of stamina per second to sneak around. And when your stamina is fully exhausted, you'll be 50% less effective at sneaking, and your sneak attacks will deal half as much damage. I think this helps to stop the sometimes mindless gameplay loop of sneak archery and similar game styles. However, if you really don't like this new stamina drain, it can be easily toggled off. One of the most influential features of Blade and Blunt is the introduction of attacks of opportunity. Striking enemies during vulnerable moments, such as when they're power attacking, drawing a bow or casting a spell, rewards you with 50% extra damage and increased stagger of the enemy. Attacking an enemy who is staggered also counts as an attack of opportunity. However, these rules also apply to you, so it adds an extra layer of strategy, forcing you to carefully time your offensive and defensive actions. To counter this, ward spells have been given the ability to protect you from attacks of opportunity. Further improvements have been made to the stagger mechanics, as the mod makes it so you're no longer immune to the stagger animations. When you reach 0 stamina and get hit with a strong attack, you'll be stunned for a brief moment, which can then open you up to an attack of opportunity. This certainly makes combat more difficult and skill intensive, as you really have to manage your stamina and positioning well, so you don't get destroyed after being stunned. However, there's small respite in the fact that there's always a 5-second stagger cooldown, so you can't stun lock enemies and they can't stun lock you. Blade and Blunt also modifies the blocking mechanics and introduces new parrying mechanics. For starters, stamina will no longer regenerate while blocking, and the cost of blocking has been increased. To balance this out, the effectiveness of blocking has been elevated, with shield blocking's base power set to 40% and weapon blocking set to 20%. You can now parry attacks if you wield a one-handed weapon without a shield. To parry an attack, you must simply block it within 1 second of raising your weapon. During this 1 second window, your blocking effectiveness is equal to that of a shield, and provides the chance to stagger your enemies, which can then of course lead to an attack of opportunity. The mod also introduces an injury system. As your health dips below the halfway point, you become susceptible to injuries, which reduce your maximum health by 25 and will increase in severity if not attended to by resting. Infections may occur if injuries aren't taken care of within 24 in-game hours, and progressively get worse, reducing your base health regeneration to the point where you'll stop regenerating any health at all. However, resting in a bed or drinking a cure disease potion will cure you of your infections, so it's a good idea to keep some handy. The intent of the injury system is to encourage you to return to a town or settlement to rest after an adventure, but the system in its entirety can be disabled if you find it too annoying. Blade and Blunt also has a significant impact on the armor rating and elemental resistance. Magic, fire, frost, shock and poison resistance all cap out at 75%, as does spell absorption. The mod also tweaks the armor rating system, allowing for a maximum reduction of up to 90% damage at 1000 armor rating, in contrast to vanilla, where you can only achieve 80% damage reduction at 567 armor rating. The mod also adjusts the movement speed, weapon reach and attack commitment. Two-handed weapons now swing 10% faster, and the player's height no longer affects the movement speed. Your character will also be slightly slowed when the weapon is drawn while attacking, drawing a bow or casting a spell. Blade and Blunt is a mod I've used for ages that simply refines the vanilla combat mechanics. Moving forward, let's discuss another mod that fits perfectly within the spirit of Vanilla Plus, with Precision. Precision, as its name suggests, provides a heightened level of realism and immersion to your battles through several key enhancements. At the heart of Precision is its implementation of physically accurate collisions for melee attacks. What this means is that you'll only hit whatever your weapon actually comes into contact with. This also means that your attacks will naturally hit all the targets they collide with during a swing, This fundamentally changes the mechanics of the sweep attack perks, rendering them unfortunately obsolete by default. However, the mod offers flexibility and allows you to tweak this feature in the mod configuration menu. Here, you can set a limit to the maximum number of people hit during a swing, or add a diminishing damage multiplier. Precision also introduces procedural physics-based hit reactions. No longer will your enemies stand static as you land a blow. Each hit causes them to react accordingly, a jolt here and a flinch there, providing immediate and satisfying feedback to your attacks. And adding a dash of flair to your fights are the weapon trails, a new feature that provides a visual trail following your weapon swings. These trails are merely aesthetic, but are also adaptive, changing their colour based on the enchantment of your weapon. And for an additional layer of intensity, Precision also incorporates hit stop and subtle camera shake mechanics. These features work together to deliver a real sense of impact with each strike, making you feel the true weight behind every swing of your weapon. But one of the strongest aspects of this mod is its sheer customizability. Through the MCM, you can conveniently disable or configure most of the features to your liking, allowing you to fully customize the mod to suit to your preferred style of gameplay. Precision is a mod that I can't see myself ever uninstalling. It is extremely well made, and in my opinion, is a direct upgrade to the vanilla experience. For my heads-up display, I use TrueHUD. This mod brings in a lot of features that further enrich the gameplay experience. Firstly, it adds floating health bars, which provide real-time information about your enemy's health and other vital stats hovering above their heads. The floating health bars can display an enemy's name, as well as a configurable indicator showing what soul gem is required to trap them, the enemy's level, or simply an icon displaying the relative difficulty of defeating the enemy. It also shows resource bars for their magicka and stamina, and there's even a recent damage counter to keep track of the damage you inflicted. But that's not all it adds. TrueHUD takes it up a notch with special boss health bars. These are similar to the smaller info bars, but they're displayed far more prominently across your screen, adding a sense of grandeur and intensity to every boss fight. TrueHUD also gives you the power to customize your player health, stamina and magicka bars. You can move and scale them to your liking, giving you complete control over your HUD. And unlike the vanilla game, where the shout cooldown indicator is tied to the compass, TrueHUD provides a custom shout cooldown indicator for better visibility and convenience. And let's not forget the recent loot log. This neat little feature ensures you never miss out on any loot in a very sleek way. It allows you to see what items you've just picked up or received, which I find is especially useful when dealing with the courier. And for the next mod in my setup, I use the extremely popular True Directional movement, which was designed with TrueHUD in mind. If you aren't familiar with the mod, I'll give you a rundown. The main feature of this mod is completely unlocked movement that isn't tied to your camera angle. However, I don't actually use this feature. Instead, I opt for the vanilla style movement option in the MCM menu. But True Directional movement isn't just about movement. It also introduces a target lock system. This feature ensures your character automatically faces their target during combat. Switching targets is as simple as moving your mouse, scrolling the scroll wheel, or manipulating the right thumbstick on your gamepad. But for those of you who prefer a more personalized setup, custom keys can also be bound to switch the current target. And whilst that has nothing to do with combat, the head tracking is another great feature of this mod. With this, your character looks at their current target or the dialogue speaker, and without a target, your character's head subtly follows the camera's direction, instead of just staring blankly into space. The mod also offers projectile aim support. You can choose between predictive aim, which calculates the target's velocity and predicts their location, or homing projectiles, which almost guarantees a hit unless the target changes direction suddenly. But for those of you who prefer manual control, the aim support can be entirely disabled, allowing free aim during target lock. Now, to improve the archery gameplay, I use Archery Locational Damage. The primary function of this mod is to introduce locational damage, meaning that striking different body parts with your arrows will yield varying effects and damage multipliers, making the overall archery experience a little more involved and fun. Launching an arrow at an enemy's head results in 2 times the normal damage, and there's also a 25% chance of knocking the enemy down, as well as a 50% chance of causing a stagger. However, if your target is wearing a heavy helmet, or is under the effect of the Dragon Hide spell, the damage multiplier is reduced to 1.5. A shot to the neck results in 1.5 times damage, and it induces bleeding, causing the enemy to lose health over time. Shooting an enemy's arm will cause a standard 1 times damage, but also comes with some strategic benefits. It reduces the enemy's physical damage and magical skills. Plus there's a 15% chance of silencing the enemy, which prevents them from spellcasting, and a 15% chance of disarming them. The player is exempt from disarm effects to avoid the hassle of retrieving a drop weapon and reconfiguring it in your equipment menu. And if aiming for the legs, that will result in the normal 1x damage, as well as reducing the enemy's movement speed. Additionally, there's a 25% chance of causing a stagger. And if your arrow hits any other part of the body, it inflicts the normal amount of damage with no additional effects. In essence, Archery Locational Damage adds a layer of strategy and slight realism to your archery gameplay, making each shot count and each battle a unique experience. For magic, I use two mods in particular. Firstly, I use Mysticism, which I'll only briefly talk about as I'm sure you're very familiar with it. Mysticism is a comprehensive mod that revamps Skyrim's magic system. It addresses bugs in the vanilla magic, improves skill progression, and introduces nearly 200 new spells. The spells are designed to integrate seamlessly into Skyrim, both mechanically and aesthetically, offering a balanced magic experience throughout all stages of the game. Possibly my favourite feature of the mod is the addition of lore-friendly spell types like poison and sun spells, as well as practical enhancements such as one-handed master spells and adjusted cast times. One of my personal favourite spells is Mark and Recall, a nostalgic nod to Morrowind, which allows you to mark a location as your home or sanctuary, and then Recall teleports you directly back to that location. On the other hand, Magic Sneak Attacks does exactly what you think it does. It introduces the ability to perform sneak attacks, specifically for spells and shouts with projectiles like Fire Breath or Ice Spike. This mod simply opens up a new gameplay style that I feel was sorely underdeveloped by Bethesda. We'll now move on to some animations I use. I feel like I'm one of the few people that actually enjoys the vanilla animations, so most of the mods I use here are either very similar or simply improve upon them. So we'll start with absolutely average animations for Greatswords. This one replaces all the Greatsword animations, including the standard power attack, which is now a thrusting stab, the forward power attack, which is more like a slash rather than a chop, and the sideways power attack, which has been changed in a similar way, as well as the backwards power attack, which makes your character step forward and chop downwards. The blocking idle and block hit animations have been replaced, as well as the bashing and power bashing animations. What's great is that all these animations are viewable in both third and first person. It's a mod I endorse because it fits seamlessly with the vanilla style. And this next mod was one of the first I ever downloaded, Crosshair Aligned Crossbows. This is a really simple tweak to the vanilla crossbow animations. It simply centers the crossbow so you can actually aim down it. I find that using it in conjunction with the crosshair disabled makes for a really fun and engaging pairing. And that about rounds out today's video. Thanks for watching, like for more, and don't forget to endorse the mod you enjoy.